Tell me a little bit about what you're doing here, what your reaction is to seeing this Bridgerton experience.
I'm quite speechless. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, you guys have nailed it with the flowers coming in with the flower tunnel, very Bridgerton. That definitely brings me back to my experience on set.
I was gonna say.
In the locations and in the amazing stages in the studio. There were just flowers everywhere. I feel like, yeah, if there's any nod to Bridgerton, it would be flowers for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You could even smell them. I was telling one of your coworkers. I was like, oh my God, like you smell good. She was like, that's the flowers.
It's the flowers, yeah. Well, lilies for one, for
Yes.
sure. Anthony's favourite. And yeah, I mean, seeing Reggae and Phoebe's portrait, it's just really lovely. They look gorgeous. So yeah, I'm glad that everyone likes it this much. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. Congratulations on the success of the second season.
Thank you.
Literally just finished the last episode yesterday, so I'm like all caught up. So excited to talk to you. Yes. So tell me a little bit about how your life has changed since the season has come out. And obviously it's broken some records recently, so tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us as an ensemble have worked so hard on this show. The cast, the crew, Chris Van Dusen, it was like 11 months of us all together, and I'm just really proud of everyone, and I think we're also pleased with such a warm response, and we're just happy that everyone has enjoyed this love story as much as we have, bringing it to life. So yeah,
absolutely.
Very grateful.
Yeah, oh good. I'm curious, like, when looking back before the season came out versus now that it's obviously out, what would you say is like the most significant kind of change or transformation in your personal life that you've like realized so far?
Just very excited, I guess. Yeah, just really excited. Very excited to see what happens in season 3.
Yes.
And just super proud of all of my co-stars, Johnny, Charithra, the whole cast of this show. Yeah, I think it is a show that's all about family, and that's how we feel about it when we lift each other up, and you know, it's a communal success, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I love to hear that. Let's talk about like fans. Obviously has a huge fan base. I'm curious, like, how frequently do you get recognized in public now? Like, do you have people just kind of running up to you and saying anything?
No, I don't. Yeah, I think, well, and people that do say hi are really lovely. And, you know, especially the fans from the South Indian community, it's been so wonderful and really emotional, actually, to have such a lovely response from people. So yeah, we're just, as I said, we're just proud as an ensemble cast to have brought this love story to life, and this show that's all about family, and for people to feel the same way as we did when we were filming it.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the love story between Miss Sharma, Kate, and Anthony. When I want to talk about you and Jonathan, though, like, when was maybe the first moment that you realized that you guys actually had chemistry on set? Like, what did that look like?
It was from the get-go in our chemistry read, I would say. And we were at Uxbridge Studios, just coming out of the pandemic. So both of us were just kind of coming out of lockdown. And yeah, we just sat on a sofa, had Shondaland on Zoom, and you know, the camera on us, and we did a couple of scenes, and we just really clicked. And Johnny is an incredible actor. He's so generous, and it was just so easy to work with, so effortless. And yeah, I think we both had very parallel mindsets on what we wanted to give these characters and how we felt about them and their love story. So yeah. It was
How do you feel about the public's reaction to that love story? Because it was kind of a build-up over the season.
Yeah.
It wasn't like instant.
Yeah, we explored intimacy in more of a psychological way compared to the first season, I would say. And where that goes, moving on, we'll see. But yeah, it's a very push and pull dynamic between them two. It's a slow burn, and I think we're really invested in how dedicated they are to their families, and to seeing these two characters kind of surrender to that and surrender to each other and have the love that they deserve.
Let's talk a little bit about where that love goes, because you did mention season 3. Congratulations. I know we're going to see you and Johnny obviously back. So tell me a little bit about, like, you know, what you hope to see for Kate next season.
I think Kate spends a lot of her life kind of running away from herself, running away from her past, running away from having a sense of community, and running away from change. And I think she has known a life where she's put her sister and her mum first and has really thrived from protecting them, and it all comes from a place of love at the end of the day, but I think it's also a place to deflect from her own kind of confronting her own self. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see her kind of be brave, fill in the shoes of being the Viscountess of the household, having a family, having a baby, being married, and just growing. I think there's a lot of growth in the change of Kate and her letting go of her sister Edwina, for sure, and seeing her as a strong, independent woman that's on her own path and seeing that for herself. So yeah, I'm really excited to see her fly in that sense.
Yes, yeah. I love it. I'm sure the rest of the fans are too. It's like, yeah, I mean, again, the build up really like kind of made it such a sweet thing to see at the end. So I'm curious to like see how it's gonna.
Me too.
Grow from there. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your acting. So I'm curious, how early on in your life, I guess maybe an age or a specific moment, did you realize like, okay, this is what I want to do with my life?
I always was really drawn to singing and to music. So I sang quite a lot when I was younger, and then I fell in love with musical theatre and studied a lot of musicals, kind of explored that world for a long time. And yeah, I was never really academic. I don't think I am still. I might not be the best articulated, but I know what a feeling is, and I find it's such a joy to express that and to relate to characters and to tell a story. So yeah, it was what I always wanted to do. So yeah, I might not be the smartest, headstrong in that sense, but I think I'm good in creative things. So I just wanted to follow that. Yeah.
Yes, that's fantastic. Well, I'm curious, kind of going off of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your family was a little hesitant about you becoming an actress. Is that right?
No, I don't know where that's come from, but no, they've always been so supportive, very grateful, and yeah, they're just a very wonderful, supportive family to me. So yeah, very grateful.
Fantastic. Well, what's their reaction now that they've actually seen you on this massive, massive show?
Yeah, they're very proud. They're always rooting for me, and you know, I'm just very grateful to have such a supportive family.
Yeah, and how big of a fan were you of the show before, or the books even, before actually getting this role?
So I heard of the books and the show as I was auditioning. I mean, obviously when season 1 came out, it was everywhere and everyone was talking about it. So I definitely knew what it was, and seeing Phoebe's face everywhere and Reggae's face everywhere, of course, I knew what Bridgerton was. And then when I started reading for the part and meeting with Johnny, that's when I gave it a read, gave it a watch, and kind of got to know what this world was all about.
Tell me a little bit about the audition process. What did that look like? How nervous were you?
It was actually perfect in the sense it was very quick. I was filming on another project at the time, so I was quite out of my head. I sent a few self-tapes, had a few Zoom meetings, and then met with Johnny, and then I think it was like by day 14, I got the call. So it was great in the sense I couldn't overthink anything. I was very out of my head, and I felt like I really clicked with the character of Kate and kind of really rooted for her and empathized with her. I think there's sides to her that are quite flawed that I think some people might judge, but I for one empathized with her and knew that she's a character who really has a big heart and just wanted to protect her sister and her family, and thinks that she's doing the right thing when actually it's a story about her being truthful with herself and surrendering to the thought of love. So,
yeah, absolutely. That's something I could relate to too. I could also relate to being like the older sibling, kind of having to be the golden child and really take care of the younger one. Like I could totally relate.
Well, that's what it's all about. We're creating a world, no matter when it's set, where it's set, who these characters are. It's all about relating to one another, and it's a feeling at the end of the day. So I'm happy to hear that. I love
the escape, by the way. Just like it literally took me out of reality.
Yeah.
Let's talk. You mentioned getting the call.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you first heard that you got this part?
I think it was a slow penny drop for me. I knew how big the show was. I think I I just adored the character of Kate and Chris Van Deusen's writing and his ideas and working with Johnny and Charithra, and I was just so excited to bring that side of it to life and to sink my teeth into it all. So yeah, and I remember when we were filming, Johnny would come up to me and be like, "How are you feeling?" And I didn't really understand it until towards the end, what this show was. So yeah, that's how I felt.
Let's talk about the first, I guess, moment that we see Anthony and Kate really kind of feel something, the B scene.
Yeah.
Tell me, I guess, why do you think this scene is such a turning point for these characters?
I think, so when we see Kate and Anthony on their own together, something always happens. I think they're able to be as present as they can be, because when they're not, they're invested in their duties and their responsibilities. They're very distracted. There's a lot of pressure on them. They don't usually take a minute to just be with themselves and to be in the moment. And I feel like whenever Kate and Anthony are on their own, that's what happens. And they kind of scratch beneath the surface a bit deeper and deeper. So it is a pivot, that episode, especially the scene between Kate and Edwina. Edwina's really trying to find a way to get him to propose to her, to get what she wants, to what her heart desires. And we see her become emotional about it, and she's frustrated and she feels vulnerable. And I think that's a pivot, because she's like, I'm going to take the reins on this now, because Kate's plan is obviously not working. And we see Edwina's growth. And then when we find Kate and Anthony on their own together, I think it's the first time that she sees a very vulnerable side to Anthony that kind of explains a lot of his behaviour. And the audience sees that as well. And I remember being on the phone to Tom Verica, who directed this scene, and I was like, well, Kate's a rider, she spent a lot of time with animals and on horses. I think there's something about her that I can't quite put into words, but she has a heart that can empathise and calm people down, calm a horse down. She's quite intuitive in that sense. And I compared that to this scene when Anthony's having his panic attack and he's really overcome by, this trauma that he's kind of reliving. And I feel like Kate was the only one that can kind of, again, pull the reins, calm him down, tame him a little bit. And I think both of them have never met anyone that's able to do that and not just leave. They're like, I've got you, and they have that patience for one another, and they see beneath all of that. So, yeah.
Now that you put it that way, I'm like, oh, I see the connection, especially with like animals. I'm like, oh, I never noticed. Like, it's so, because it's just like written so seamlessly, and you see it, so it's like so natural that when you say it out loud, I'm like, oh, okay. And
it's interesting. I read somewhere, I think someone wrote a fantastic dissertation on this, and it really resonated with me about the bee. These two characters are so distracted in their responsibilities and duties that life just goes by. And then it took something as small as a bee, a tiny little insect, to kind of make them stop in their tracks and listen and see what's happening in front of them. And then, things change. And then it kind of has this domino effect. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yes.
And well done to Julia Quinn for writing that.
Absolutely. For you and Jonathan, did you have to approach that scene differently from your other scenes just because it's so pivotal? Did you kind of realize any kind of different approach when you were coming to it?
Johnny and I worked separately with our own craft and our process with our characters, and then we kind of would come to set and just react with each other and be within the moment and share ideas and see what works, what didn't work. I mean, for me, it was kind of a shift of Kate being very defensive for her sister, quite annoyed at Anthony at this point because he has hurt her little sister. She's being really protective, and then, obviously it's kind of fight or flight mode when she sees him overcome with himself in this way. And she does adore him, and she always has. And I think sometimes when the stakes are raised that high, it takes a moment like that for someone to just surrender a bit more. And you see her soften and really, really look into his eyes and try to calm him down and give him love, I guess. So,
a bit of a breakthrough.
You're
doing great, by the way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Let's talk about, so in this season, we don't see, compared to the first season, we don't really see as much intimacy. But for this season, we have like really one big, significant, like I guess, love scene you can say between you and Jonathan.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about like what it was like filming that, and was it the right approach to kind of again have that build up?
Yeah, I think so. I loved it. I loved that we just had, you know, 2 firework scenes that felt very earned, not performative. And it is 2 characters that have this slow burn enemies to lovers transition, and they finally let go. And Anthony has that iconic line where he's like, you know, before we do something for ourselves. And there's so much meaning behind that. And, you know, he's right. They haven't done anything for themselves, and they kind of dare one another. I dare you to go first. No, I dare you to go first. And then they both just kind of collide into each other and let go. And I mean, filming that scene, we had an amazing intimacy coordinator, Lizzie Talbot, who just made sure that we felt heard, and there was great communication on set. We felt comfortable. And what I loved is that she wanted to see and normalize on screen seeing a woman receive pleasure. I mean, it happens. It's not a taboo anymore. It's not a secret. And she made sure that we added that into the scenes to make sure that Kate's enjoying herself, let's put it that way. And, you know, I think, you know, Anthony adores Kate. So this whole time, I think it's been a lead up to that, and he wants her to feel good and to give that to her. So, yeah. It was a lot of fun, and every single detail in those scenes, they're all thought through. They all have a thought and an intention behind them. Nothing's performative. So yeah.
I mean, would you say for the characters, and then obviously for the fan base, the payoff was that much sweeter? Just
yeah, I think, but that's a good metaphor for life. I think you know, it's always going to taste a bit sweeter the more you wait. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I have a few more questions. I'm gonna do some photos here. Let's talk about the costumes, because we can't ignore the Regency costumes.
Yeah.
You looked phenomenal in them. One of our favorites is this one. I'm going to have you hold it up and just talk to me about it a little bit. This is the Dawn.
Yeah, this is the pink.
What do you remember about this look?
Very pink. We have an amazing hair and makeup team who got me ready every day for, gosh, 10 to 11 months, Jessie and Farida. I mean, they always just made me feel like a princess, and they worked so hard to create this look, and with our amazing costume department as well. I think, so fans have slowly started picking up on this, but when you first meet Kate, she's in very dark colours, very muted. She wears minimal makeup, her cleavage isn't out as much, she has scraped back hair. And then I think this is episode 4, by this moment you see she's wearing a bit more makeup. Her cleavage is coming out a bit more. Her hair is softening. She's letting go, and she's really letting go and kind of falling in love. Adjoa, who plays Lady Danbury, had an amazing analogy that inspired me, and this was for her character, Lady Danbury, that Lady Danbury doesn't have hair in front of her face because she can't get distracted. She's always focused, she's always got a job to get done, so her hair's scraped back. And I really related to that for Kate. She's got a job to get done. She's got to protect her family. She's not here to meet suitors and to dance and do what the other women are doing. She's here to marry off her sister and run away. And then the more she spends time with Anthony, you can just see aesthetically there's that character change and that journey and arc within her. I remember when we were filming, Jessie and Farida would always be like, soon it's going to come and you can wear your lipstick and have your hair down and stuff, as much as I liked Ep 1 and 2 Kate. But yeah, these were some of my favourite looks. Yeah.
I'm curious, I can hold it. I'm curious if there's any maybe like uncomfortable aspect to kind of those costumes. Like, is there anything that ever made it uncomfortable?
I wouldn't say uncomfortable. I think there was a lot to get used to. I think the riding habits, they were quite heavy, but you know, you get used to it and you get on with it. And when I was on the horse, felt completely comfortable. So
yeah. What were the fittings like? I'm curious.
Gosh, we had so many fittings. I loved them. I mean, on my days off from filming, it was always going to the costume studios and having a fitting with our amazing costume department, and Sophie, our incredible costume designer, and it was just such a joy and a privilege. I would come in and have to try on these ridiculously beautiful dresses. So it wasn't a bad thing, that's for sure. It was, yeah, I felt very privileged and super grateful to call that work, I guess.
Is there a favorite look for you?
Ooh, I would say episode 5, beginning of episode 5, Kate at the Queen's Court. There's this beautiful, I'm going to say it's a peacock blue, just because I associate it with a peacock, like how regal it looked. And the gloves, oh, loved that scene. Yeah, loves that costume.
I promise I have a few more questions. I know I'm taking my time. Just have a quick show and tell for you guys. This is now your real fashion outside of the character. I'm gonna have you hold this one up. Tell me a little bit about this look, what you remembered from that night.
So I have to do a massive shout out to my amazing stylist, Rebecca Corbin-Murray. I've been working with her for about a year now. She has taught me so much from the inside out about fashion. And I think if there's anything I've learned from her, it's to have a more thoughtful approach with what I wear. And she always encourages me and makes sure that I step out looking cool, confident, and just comfortable and at ease. So this look is from Burberry. I adored wearing it. I loved this fringe. We had a lot of shots where we were flinging it around. And then Peter Lux, my amazing hairstylist, we worked with him. We worked together to create this like slick back wet look. I loved this look. It was very different. And like that kind of halter neckline was really cool. Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool.
Exuding cool. Yeah. Do you, I mean, obviously it's like Hollywood's like most glamorous party. What was that like? Who did you get to meet?
I was on good student mode that night because I had press the next day at like 6 a.m. So I stayed for a couple of hours and then just, you know, sneaked out. But it was wonderful, yeah.
You didn't get to meet anyone?
I did a little bit, yeah.
Anyone you fangirled over?
Yeah, I think, you know, everyone was just having a great time. Everyone looked gorgeous, so yeah, it was a very cool experience.
Alrighty, and then premiere of the show
season. This is one of my favorite looks. This is from Gucci off the runway. Rebecca, my amazing stylist, she told me about this look and she was like, I've been thinking about it for a minute and I'm really visioning it. Let's try it on. It's like how we've dressed it here looks a little bit different off the runway. We've kind of made it a bit more red carpet ready. And Alex Babsky, Alex Babsky, my incredible makeup artist that I work with, he wanted to bring like a pop of copper red to the eyes. I love that on the edge of the skirt, at the hem, it's like this emerald green. So whenever I moved, you could kind of catch like a little shock of green, a little, not shock of green, you could catch a little moment of green. And I love that it's sheer. I love that, you know, it's sexy and I guess a little controversial. I mean, that's not mine. That wasn't my intention with it, but yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know.
I love it.
I love it. I think it's sexy and cool.
It is, it really is. Final look, another sexy one. This is my last question. This one, from the BAFTAs. Pink was the color of the season. Tell me what you loved about that look.
Pink was the color of the season. So I actually went to this show for Valentino in Paris, and I got to see all the pink, okay, funny story about this dress. So it originally actually came without a bra. So, you know, and that's obviously not appropriate for the red carpet. So we had to think of within 24 hours what we were going to do. And the team at Valentino kindly shared us another dress that had this like bra fitting at the top. And they were really kind and they were like, you can rip that dress apart and make your own bra. So we have our kind of own custom-made bra underneath this to make it a bit more conservative and red carpet ready. Yeah, and we had a Tiffany archive bracelet, which was gorgeous. Again, I worked with Peter and we created like mermaid locks. Yeah, I was very close to saying no to this outfit because I was feeling a bit shy. And then Rebecca was like, no, you've got to wear this. And then I'm so glad I did because, yeah, it was a really fun pink moment. Yeah. I think my agents were at the BAFTAs and they were like, we could spot you from a mile away because you were just in this shocking pink. Yeah, I think Pierre, he had his own shade of pink made for him. So I was very honoured to have worn it.
Again, exuding cool. Do you remember your favorite memory maybe from the night?
I went with one of my really good friends, Roxy, and I just had such a fun night with her. And, you know, I presented the award with Johnny, so that was a really lovely memory. Yeah.